International Women's Day celebration is happening in just a few weeks. And if you're a heart center female entrepreneurs, I want you to tune in and listen because I have a very special guest with me today. Hello, fabulous. And fabulous you are. And I'm here to remind you of that. If you don't know by now, my name is Evie Diaz, and I'm a financial empowerment speaker, financial trauma healing specialist, and author. And I am the creator of the simplest method of manifesting financial freedom, which is the FAB money scripting method. And I am also the proud founder of the Fabpreneurs community. And the Fabpreneurs community is a community of heart centered small business women, like the one I'm going to introduce you today, who are passionate and on purpose, and they are manifesting money and becoming financially free fabpreneurs. And if you don't know by now, we are celebrating International Women's Day. Now, International Women's Day has been celebrated across the globe for over 115 years. And this year, we as Fabpreneurs are on our third year celebrating this wonderful, wonderful date. And it is the opening to the month of March, which is Women's Her Story Month. And so throughout the month of March, we'll have many opportunities for us to celebrate the women who have forged a path so that we can really, really take flight and express ourselves more as female entrepreneurs and women in these times. And today, I want to introduce you to my co host, my co producer, and one of our community's leader in the Fabpreneurs community. And that is one of our speakers. I'll let her tell you all about it, but please help me to welcome Paty Mariposa. Hello, Paty.
Hi, good day to you, Evie. Thank you so much. What a beautiful introduction, and so honored to be a part of your fabulous community.
Well, we are honored to have you. You know, Paty, if I tell people, they can probably sense the wonderful energy, and then she'll tell you why you're feeling that wonderful energy because of what she does. And I felt it even through social media. And yes, you can feel people's energy even through their images and their posts. At least I can. I know that when someone doesn't look or feel right to me, I won't even accept them as friend. And that's because I safeguard my energy. And I remember when I saw your image on social media, on Facebook to be precise, I was immediately like drawn to you. Then it's kind of funny because I generally believe like we shouldn't really pursue people, but I felt like this was someone that I wanted around me and I wanted to be around. And so I texted her, I called her, I invited her, and finally she started coming to our events. And I am so delighted that she offered to be my co host, my co producer. So together, we're doing this International Women's Day celebration on Friday, March the 6th. And before we dive into that event, I want you to tell people a little bit about your brilliance because although it's a little bit faded, the background, we can see something, and that's that you have a lot of diplomas and a lot of certification. And I know that you're so overly qualified. But let's dive into what it is that you do before you tell people what exactly you're going to be sharing with them during International Women's Day.
Of course. Well, first of all, I am proud to say that I am a daughter of first generation Cuban Americans. And I think that's something very, very important to share and to be proud of, as well as being a woman. And it's a part of the reason that has led me onto this path. The women in my life have been so influential. Since I was a little kid, I've always been of service, helping in any way that I could. And it just brought me joy. I grew up a lot of times with my grandmother, Cuban, want to say she was Cuban American. I'm not really sure, but I know definitely Cuban and barely spoke any English. So I always just spoke to her in Spanish. But I loved how independent she was. She lived on her own. She left Cuba, was taken there by my father and brought to the U.S. And one of the things that I learned at one point was that she, in her own way, was like a social worker, although she was more like a volunteer when she was in Cuba, helping those in prison and on the streets. And I just always admired that. And though that really took me on amongst my path, which I've been a social worker now for over 20 years. I became a licensed clinical social worker actually in 2020. I took the test in February 2020, was past it, which was amazing. And in March 2020, the world knows what happens. We shut down, and I was able to begin my private practice as a therapist, and I've continued to do so. So, social work is the backbone of who I am, as well as being ethical, being safe, and trauma informed. I'm also a trauma therapist, and I work with helping people to regulate their nervous system. And we're constantly dysregulated by so many things in our lives. And apart from being a social worker, I am also an energy healer. To be exact, an Usui Reiki master teacher. And I teach Reiki and I practice Reiki from a trauma focused perspective. What that means is that I'm very cautious about one, the topics that we talk about when we begin sessions, and also being able to ensure that I'm supporting and not re traumatizing anyone that comes through my door, even it or virtual, because I work at like that
Yeah.
as well, because so much harm can be done by spoken word, by not relaying specific information, and not answering somebody's questions about what just happened to me. And I
Yeah.
may not know the answer, but I can definitely hold space to say, hey, that was a really scary situation that just happened or that you went through. How do you feel in your body? Let's come back to the body because the body can be safe. And it's about remembering that it's safe even when the world around us doesn't feel safe.
Absolutely. And I think that first of all, now people can understand about energy and why it's so important in terms of why I was attracted to you, to your energy work, and of course to the way that you practice and help women. And do you work only with women or also with men?
I also work with men. I
Okay.
work with heart centered professionals, though,
Okay. Awesome.
gender aside, whoever
Yes.
is open with that heart and spiritual.
And that is so important because I know that for me, even before I started taking all these trainings about being dysregulated as a result of financial trauma, which a
Mhm.
lot of people don't even realize that they are dysregulated. And the way that I say in simple terms is if someone offers you something, let's say, be it free, and you feel like, no, 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 I can't take it because I can't pay you or I can't give you back anything, that may be a sign that there may be some dysregulation, or people may feel more comfortable saying, oh, you have something, a story behind your money. But it's usually you feel it in the body. Either, you become like apprehensive or scared of receiving free stuff or undeserving. That's usually an indication that there is. And also simple things like, me as a financial empowerment speaker, financial trauma healing specialist, and the reason why I change it is because I don't actually heal people. I help people to
Mhm.
use these techniques to heal themselves, and that's why I'm a financial empowerment person,
Mhm.
because I want to empower you to realize, if you ever hear me or another speaker saying, okay, now I want to tell you about how we can continue working together, if you like, with me through some of my solutions, and you feel your body getting tight, maybe your throat, or maybe you want to jump off the zoom out, you want to get out of like you literally feel like you want to jump out, and hopefully, I don't know if that's the right term, which I've become more aware too, by the way, Patty, of even the words that I
Yeah.
say, because sometimes it is because of my own back financial trauma that I can relate. Because sometimes you feel like you want to jump out of a conversation when it feels so. When you feel all of this, as far as my work, it could be an indication that you have unhealed financial trauma. And so let's talk about how you are going to be sharing a little bit of your knowledge with the women who attend the International Women's Day, because right now I want people to know this is a 4-hour event, and
Mhm.
it is a safe container. And we're going to be very mindful, Patty and I, to create a safe container. And we're not, like we just started kind of heavy right now, but we're not going to be jumping into this at any depth because, of course, it's just a 4-hour event. What we want to do is in a very safe, kind of easygoing 4 hours, we want to hopefully increase your awareness of a do you relate to this particular problem, and might this be something that you have? Does it sound familiar? And then let me show you what is available for you to heal. In other words, we're going to be teaching you, sharing with you a solution.
Mhm.
And so, can you share with people a tidbit of what you're going to be sharing with people during your presentation at the International Women's Day celebration?
Of course. Well, basically, what I'll be sharing is really more reminders of things that we already know, things that are important to practice, and that's something that Evie and I, like for example, before we start a meeting or even this interview, and how we'll start the International Women's Day is setting intention, right? That is something when you practice setting an intention before you begin your day, the moment that you like open your eyes, while you're in the shower, right? You're setting intentions like how you want to feel, what you want to bring in more of. And so I'll talk a little bit about the nervous system, what that means, because I know a lot of times, like Evie just brought it up, and you may hear about it on Instagram or TikTok, and it's like the nervous system, what is that? And basically, the way to simplify it is whenever you feel stressed, and what stressed is that's your body telling you, hey, I think we're in danger, think something is going to come after us. And of course, logically now we're like, but there's nothing that can hurt me. However, in our minds think, going back to primitive time, that there's a bear about to attack us. It doesn't know the difference if there's an actual bear in front of us wanting to attack, or the thought of, I'm running out of money. For the brain, it's the same thing. And so our body's going to react like we're gonna die. I know people are like, but that's pretty intense. Well, that's just how our body reacts. And so, what we can do is remind our bodies through intention and different techniques, through breath, through touch, through tapping. And I'll be going over a few of these, and we're going to be practicing them together. So you get to experience, like, wow, that specific breath work works for me. I feel calm. Like just 30 seconds ago, I was up here, and now I'm like, hmm, I can breathe more openly. And so that's what I'll be sharing with you. Again, those reminders, because the more that you put these practices to use on a daily basis, then they're going to help you to be more relaxed, to be calmer, to be more peaceful. And guess what? More people are going to want to be around you, and you're going to want to be around other people as well.
Thank you so much. And I am so looking forward to that. And I've had the pleasure of experiencing at least one or two of your sessions. And I know that I always ask you to set the intention, set the pace, set the energy for when we get together. And so let's talk about who are the women out there that should really just RSVP to come. And so, who are the women that you believe would most benefit? Or you can say, what will be the benefit to them attending these sessions that we've been putting together with intention?
Yeah, so the people, the women specifically that I work and cater towards are those that are helpers, those who are caregivers, those that are therapists, that are coaches, those who are just giving, 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 and they really need to refill their cup. And so, how I teach a lot with energy is that when you give, it is so important to find a way to receive. Now, this doesn't just mean financially. This could be like, for example, when you open the door for someone, whether you're a woman or a man, doesn't matter. You open the door for someone, right? You're giving, and then the receiving could be a smile, a thank you, an acknowledgement, and that you're going to feel good because you that was a connection. So that's what giving and receiving does, is it connects. And so if you're only giving, if the women are only giving over time, and I can give you so many examples of women who've given so much, and then by the time they're like, well, I have nothing else to give, or I don't have a reason to give, maybe all the kids have grown, there's not an importance, then guess what? Chronic health issues all of a sudden start to like flower. And they're like, oh, I was so healthy until, or wow, these chronic pains just really started flaring up. But that was just recently. Well, it's not just recently, it's just now that you're slowing down, your body's just like, oh, now you'll pay attention to me. So now I'm going to tell you what's going on. But all of this is preventative if we can take moments for ourselves. Like one of the ways that I take moments for myself almost on a daily basis during my work week are 15-minute power naps. When my body starts to shut down and I can feel it, and some of my clients knows, are like, "Oh, Patty, is it close to nap time?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm present with you." And I will say after a specific session, I'm going to take a nap because that's the way I honor myself, so I can come back stronger, more vibrant, and ready to continue giving. So that's how I receive. And it's important for you all to identify, and women to remember that being practicing self-care isn't selfish, it is a priority. And this goes beyond bubble baths, it goes beyond a glass of wine, which all of that is fine and fair, but it is a remembering of, I'm going to go for a walk because I want to disconnect. I want to leave my phone because I want to go ahead and disconnect. I want to take in deep breaths. I want to take the half day just maybe going for a walk or spending time with a friend or grabbing a cup of coffee. That is something that's going to nourish you, and it's going to help your prevention for chronic health issues in the future.
So, wait a minute. Are you saying that it's okay for me to chillax for 5 or 10 minutes in between the hours of work?
Yes, much needed.
So
Away
did you
from
hear
the
that? Wait a
computer.
minute. We got to make sure people heard that. Write that one down. It is okay for me to chillax during work hours. In other words, it could be as simple as breathing.
Mhm.
You know, it's interesting that my mom transitioned over 11 years ago. And now I'm understanding the message that she was trying to impart onto me for many years. My mom used to say to me, respira, respira, which is Spanish for breathe. So
Mhm.
today, I want to invite you to write that one down and put it somewhere on your computer or wherever you could see it that say, it's okay for me to chillax. That could be 5 minutes of simple breathing. Like if your mind is running really fast, faster than you could perhaps, stop and say, I'm going to breathe. It could be a minute. Sometimes what I have on my phone at 11:11, I recall my intention for the day. And it's just 1 minute that the phone goes off and I have music. And sometimes, depending on my mood, I'll get up and I'll move and I'll do my abundance dance. And
Mhm.
sometimes I just stay still for 1 minute and I'm focusing on my intention for the day. And
Mm.
guess what? It's okay to do that. And
Mhm.
that's a simple, like, oh, yes, I know that. I know that you and your mind, your monkey mind, you know that, right? That makes sense. The intention to do it. And I love, Patty, that you said the practice because I use that word often. And I
Mhm.
love the word practice because it tells us it is something ongoing. And it also, it's like the right word that feels okay with my nervous system because it means I don't have to be perfect. I am practicing. I am practicing chillaxing for 1 minute. How about that? How about that to be your intention for you who are watching and listening? Ask yourself, do I give my permission? And then I give myself the permission to
Mhm.
practice breathing consciously 1 minute. And it could be like I do. I set the alarm for 11:11. Can you do that? I think you can. So, Patty, I'm loving this. So, I know that you're going to give different techniques, and I'm going to give a technique. And actually, after this, maybe we should just hold off a minute so that we could share the technique that I'm going to share so that we both know. And that's why I love the work that you do, because I
Mhm.
think that we complement each other so well, you know? And the thing is that for both of us, many of the women who come may not be aware that they have a trauma because I didn't know I had trauma. And I have all kinds of trauma. Not the financial trauma was the one that I didn't know I had. Okay. But since studying trauma, and not to the degree that you have, because I know you have many certifications and but I have been continuously studying. I realized the impact of some of my knee jerk reactions that may be PTSD from traumatic events in my life.
Mhm.
And, putting aside the financial trauma, which is the only part that I deal with, because realizing that is one step, the awareness. The second awareness that you're going to get from coming to our event is that there are solutions to help you to more effectively deal with that awareness. So, what I mean by that, if you don't know that you have trauma, I know that I have different resources. When you visit evds.com, you go to free, you can see if you have financial trauma. There's a quiz
Yeah.
that you have. And I'll be sharing that again during the event because I want to make sure people recognize if that's what it is, right? And secondly, then recognize there are various solutions to both heal it on a long term, ongoing basis and also, there are, like Patty mentioned, some tips and techniques for you to manage when you realize that something's coming up for you. And that's what Patty's going to give you. Am I right, Patty?
Yes, very much. Practice of awareness. The more aware that you are, the less you can ignore and the more action you can take.
So, why is it that they cannot afford to miss it? Because sometimes people say, oh, I can't afford to go. And they'll say, I can't afford it because from a scarcity mindset, it could be that that's their knee jerk reaction. And maybe that might be something that, I'm going to teach you a technique so that you're aware, hey, that's a knee jerk reaction. I can't afford it. And it could be, I can't afford it because I don't have time, which, by the way, that's a double scarcity. I can't afford it. And now the scarcity is, I don't have
Yes.
money and I don't have time, right? So why should they come and listen and learn from what you're sharing?
Well, one of the things that I love about this program that we're putting together is that it's not only that we're going to have speakers, including ourselves, is that we're also going to be doing breakout rooms. And in those breakout rooms, the people that feel aligned to the specific speakers are going to have a chance to have conversations, to go in deeper. And we see a lot of, I know I've been invited to a lot of online summits, a lot of speaking opportunities, and it is really a lot people just like speaking at you. But in this event, we are it's interactive. It's like this conversation. Though it is more than a speaking engagement, it is a conversation, it is a community, it is a reminder that we need to be together because there's a lot going on right now in our world, whether personal, political, whatever it is, and especially if you're an immigrant or child of an immigrant, like we're gonna be feeling things. I know my parents' home country, Cuba, they're going through a lot, and I feel that. And what can I do? Well, I can come together with other Cubans and say, like, how can we support them? And maybe that could just be a prayer circle, right? Of sending them love and sending peace. It may not feel like much for one person, but when we're in a community of like minded, a lot of times we can say, wow, I've been feeling so isolated and alone. And now I can feel like I'm in the presence of others. And that's what I share with my community that I've been inviting. It's like, let's come together, let's connect, and let's lift each other up. So that's what really drew me to this gathering that you're hosting. And that I was like, let me in. Because one of the ways that I work well is really, I say yes to a lot of things, being more cautious is saying yes to what I'm aligned with. Where I can say, like, okay, let's connect and let's see this grow and bring in more women so that we can be the light and then share that light with others. So it's not like just one gender. It's like when we're okay, then the rest of the world is going to be okay. But we have to start with ourselves.
I love
And we
that.
get to start with ourselves.
I love that, Patty. So let's set the intention. These 4 hours of our Evolve International Women's Day event, whose theme, by the way, you just touched upon so beautifully, this idea of give to gain. It's what we took it upon ourselves to follow the International Women's Day website. And it is about giving and receiving, just like you said. And let's set the intention. This is a safe container to really connect heart to heart with each other, to find healing together, to heal together, and to see how else we can be more of who we're meant to be. In other words, our evolve. How do we evolve into who we know we're being called to be? And so I want to remind people there are two ways that I'm going to quickly share. And I love everything that you share. And that's why I'm even more excited that you're my co host, my co producer, and just loving working with you. And this is how you're going to go. So you can go to evds.com just to keep it short and sweet. When you're here, this is the home page. You want to click on this to get your ticket. And we've run a contest, which I'm probably going to take this out already because we're fast approaching this event. I have to change some things in here, but I'll show you right now. You go to evds.com, you click there on that image, and this takes you to the page, evds.com International Women's Day, which you see it here scrolling. I also put it in the chat wherever this video is showing. You will see it in the chat. And then you can scroll down or you can go here and you will see how to get a ticket. And our theme is give authentically, gain abundantly. And really, what we're asking you is to give yourself just 4 hours to turn your intentional giving into exponential gains. Now, if you have any questions, please feel free to, as I said, you can go to evds.com. And when you go there, you'll find, and I'm going to go back to the main page so that you know how you can ask a question. On the side of the page, it says click here to leave a message. You can actually click there. You can start recording right onto your laptop and leave me a voice message, and that'll get to me if you have any questions. If you're friends with Patty, if you're part of her community, if you're one of her clients, Patty has a special discount code for you. So if you're watching this and if you're friends or a client of Patty, make sure you contact Patty directly for that special code. Of course, if you are one of our fully paid Fabpreneurs members, you get in for free. So make sure you contact me if you're a Fabpreneur member. And you'll see there who are the other speakers. And of course, you'll find out a little bit about what I'm speaking about. And you'll find out one of our Fabpreneurs who's speaking. And then there's Patty.
Hi.
Uh, and you can hear more about how she's going to help you to learn how you can self regulate. And
Mhm.
so, if that is something that you know that you need or you want, I'm going to invite you to come and connect with Patty on that day. Learn more about how you can help yourself with the tools that Patty is going to offer you. Anything else, Patty, that we need to say before we end today's live stream?
Ah, well, I just want to say for all of you who are listening up until now, give thanks to yourself. Give yourself a big hug because you're amazing and we love you and we look forward to meeting you virtually next Friday.
So excited. Thank you so much, Patty. I always feel great when I'm around you because of your great loving energy. And so remember, for those of you who are watching, whether you jumped in here in the live or the replay, there are no coincidence. This is divine incidence. And this is the universe way of answering your prayers. You're wanting for clarity, for a bigger way of knowing, of guidance. And the universe has put this video here in front of you to say, hey, I have a possible solution for you. Do you want it? It's yours for the asking and receiving. Thank you so much for being here, Patty, and those of you who are watching, whether the live or the replay. We appreciate you, and I see you manifesting your intentions. Thank you so much. Bye. Bye for now. See you at the International Women's Day celebration.